Hey everyone, before we start the show, I just want to get some plugs out of the way. If you enjoy this podcast and you're into wrestling, check out the Nerds and Marks podcast or Marty and Sarah Love Wrestling. If you're not getting your fill on movie and entertainment discussion, then check out the Entertainment Buffet podcast. If you want to dive into the world of video games, I highly recommend the Darkcast by my friends over at darkstation.com. Listen to them cover important topics and interview men and women from all over the industry. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hello everyone and welcome to today's mini episode, our first mini episode of October and kind of in a little while. I've been on a bit of a hiatus just because things have just been kind of crazy in my personal life. I haven't had the time to read the scripts I needed to read and all that, but we are back this Friday. We are going to be looking at our first script in a while with a guest. So this script is a little movie called Black Winter. This is a Blacklist script. Listed as kind of a spy movie. I'm only a little bit into it at the time of this recording. It doesn't seem like that much of a spy movie, but that's how it was advertised to me. So that's the one we're going to be looking at this weekend. Also have our script planned for next weekend, which is going to be a solo show. Like I'm going to throw in some solo shows with me, just so I can be covering scripts more frequently. I have a lot that I want to look at that nobody seems to be interested in reading, so I'm just going to take care of those myself. So next week is going to be our first... Is it our first video game one? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think it is. Our first video game script, or video game movie script. It's a movie based on a popular video game. Called Devil May Cry, the famous Capcom series. It's one of my favorite video game series. I love the Devil May Cry games. I've always been interested in the idea of a movie and what it would look like. So I have the script for that, and I'm going to be reading it. I have a few video game scripts like Uncharted, Halo, Castlevania. I have given out Castlevania to somebody. I still need to set up that whole recording, but those are some of the video game scripts I have that I'm looking forward to getting into. I had a specific guest in mind for Uncharted, but I'd like him to play the game first just so he can compare it to the script. But it sounds like it would be like pulling teeth to get him to play the game. So I don't know. We'll see what we can do there. Maybe we'll just cover it anyway. But that's the one I'm looking forward to doing the most. Because if you follow, it's the David O. Russell script for Uncharted. If you followed that whole story, it was something to behold. But yeah, so those are some of the scripts that I'm going to be looking at, or I want to look at soon here. But this week is going to be Black Winter. Next week is going to be Devil May Cry. That one's going to be a solo show. I'm assuming the week after we will probably finally do the last Star Wars commentary. My wife has now some more time on the weekend, so I think this weekend I'm going to get her to sit down and finally watch that movie with me. And I'm actually excited because for a long time, Return of the Jedi was actually my favorite Star Wars movie before I wised up and saw the light that is Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, so we're gonna knock that one out of the park. I definitely have some people that I've been talking to, setting up some other movie commentaries, specifically for the DC EU movies. And now that Wonder Woman is out, we have more to mine there. But the first one will obviously be a revisit with Man of Steel. As you know, I did that one solo. And I've been talking to the guys over at the 616 podcast, who some of them are big DC fans. So I would recommend checking out their podcast. It's got some friends of mine on it every now and then, and I really like their show. It's fun, just kind of sitting there chit-chat bullshitting. But yeah, I recommend that show. I'm gonna get those guys on, and we're gonna sit down and watch some DC movies. And I don't know, we'll laugh, we'll cry, probably a lot of crying. Those movies are really bad, but I honestly don't know how they feel about Man of Steel. It sounds like their opinions on that one might be a little more positive than mine, even though I did like it a little more the second time around. I feel like with that movie, I might end up with Stockholm Syndrome. And I'm kind of worried about that with Suicide Squad, too. It's like every time I watch it, it's like, yeah, well, maybe there's this thing. And I'm just like, I'm going to trick myself into liking those movies, and it's going to be scary. But yeah, so we're going to take a look at those. I haven't really talked to them a lot, but I think we might do all of the DC movies with them, unless somebody's like dying to cover BVS or Suicide Squad or Wonder Woman or anything like that. But maybe I'd actually sit down with my wife and do Wonder Woman, because that's like the one superhero movie she actually likes. And I don't know, maybe it'd be interesting. I should get a woman's perspective on that, right? So maybe that's the way that one will roll. But yeah, so that's kind of the schedule I'm looking towards in the future, trying to get as much done before November as I can, because November is when, or the end of November, Black Friday, is when my work gets super busy, and I will be insanely busy until January probably. So through the end of November and December and January, it'll probably be a lot of solo episodes, so I'm trying to get as much in as I can right now. So we'll see how that goes. Thank you, everybody who's been sticking with it. And as you know, if you're still subscribed to the podcast, the Shocktober episodes are going up right now. So every day in October, I'm trying to get a horror movie review out. I already have like the first 2 weeks done and recorded. So at least those weeks are covered. So I need to cram in some more horror movies. I just watched another one last night that I'm super excited to talk about. But yeah, so be sure to keep downloading those. And that's going to be it for today's mini episode. Don't have a whole lot going on, but that's kind of what we're looking at in the future here. So get the plugs out of the way. Social media. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Shelved Podcast. And, at this point, I'm going to tell you to just follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, because it's kind of hard to run 2 social media accounts. Like, I'd really like it if you could follow the podcast account at Shelved Podcast, but you can also follow me at Advent_Crash, ADVENT_Crash. I'm on there mostly. I always forget to switch over to my podcast feed and start posting on there. Same thing with the Instagram. It's I have the same name on Instagram, Advent Crash. That one might not have an underscore. I can't remember. But you can also follow me on there. I'm always talking about the podcast on there as well, as long as a bunch of other stupid bullshit. Talk about a lot of movie stuff on there. So, but yeah, email. You can email us at shelvedfilmpodcast@gmail.com. The email will not change. If you have any scripts, if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to talk about, if you want me to kind of reference something on the show, just send it to the email and I'll talk about it. But that's going to be it for today's mini episode. Be sure to check back this Friday, where we are going to talk about Black Winter.